every ad that this team has created, I likely haven't seen, and that's okay because they're not all intended for me. However, the ones that did make their way to me, did they give what they were supposed to give? Maybe I'll share what I think about that. Maybe I won't. We'll see. Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all. Welcome back, and thanks for joining me. Today is a very interesting and important one. Today is the kickoff of the DNC National Convention in Chicago. And of course, I am going to be giving you my thoughts from a personal branding and marketing perspective. But before we get to that, I wanted to catch up with you all about a couple of recent ads that have come my way out of the Harris-Walz campaign. So I'm going to stress a couple of things here. Class, you can say it with me. I am not a political wonk. My opinion is going to come from the perspective of a marketer who has over 20 years of experience in the game. And the second important component is that these ads are ones that made their way to me. So any marketer will tell you, if an ad made its way to me and it's done right, which I assume all of the ads coming out of the Harris-Walz campaign are, then that means that I was targeted for these ads, right? So what does targeting mean? Real quick and simple, it means that there are things in this ad, messages, images, actions that they want me to take, they want me to believe, they want me to do, they want something. And that targeting is based on who I am. That is my likes, my interests, my disinterests, and so on and so forth. So all that said, that means that every ad that this team has created, I likely haven't seen, and that's okay because they're not all intended for me. So we're going to talk about 3 ads. And after each ad, I am going to share my thoughts from the perspective of a branding, marketing, creative perspective. At the end, we'll tie it all up. I'll talk about the themes that I noticed, and then onward. Oh, wrong campaign. That was forward, right? Anyway, I got my trusty notebook here. Let's take a look at the first ad together. It's called Fearless.
The one thing Kamala Harris has always been: fearless. As a prosecutor, she put murderers and abusers behind bars. As California's Attorney General, she went after the big banks and won $20 billion for homeowners. And as vice president, she took on the big drug companies to cap the cost of insulin for seniors. Because Kamala Harris has always known who she represents.
This campaign is about who we fight for. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. Where every senior can retire with dignity. But Donald Trump wants to take our country backward, to give tax breaks to billionaires and big corporations and end the Affordable Care Act. But we are not going back. I'm Kamala Harris, and I approve this message.
Let's get right into it. So we noticed there was, again, that warm overlay. I told you all that this is something that they are going to be pulling through and using strategically in order to make sure the point is driven home about how approachable Vice President Harris really is. Let's talk about the voiceover selection. Now, this holds a special place in my heart. More on that later. You'll note, and if you didn't, because you probably didn't, I did, the voice was young, it was male, it was wry, direct, authoritative, And as well, the voice was white. Don't ask me how I know, more on that later, but that was a very intentional choice. What was pushed forward in this ad was the authenticity of who Vice President Harris is. We also noticed childhood photos of Vice President Harris that were employed. And again, a very intentional choice that is thematic to this campaign. More on that later. We noticed images from her beginnings all the way through. And this theme of her being equipped, capable, being able to handle herself within a space, hence fearless. The message that they wanted to be received was this individual is capable and always has been capable. She knows what she is doing and always has. We saw the panning again around. They used that camera move in the first ad that was released. And as well, I noticed that there was not use of the coronas this time around. I'll be paying attention, y'all. And why was that? Well, mainly because this was about her. She was giving main character energy in this particular ad. They did mention her opponent, but it was minimal. So that said, there was no need to reference heavily the opposition here. The halo in that first ad, it made it clear that she is the good and he is not. He appeared so minimally in this particular spot. The corona actually wasn't necessary. Also, you'll notice that in that ad, there was a mixture of fonts. Y'all, fun fact about me, I go crazy. When it comes to fonts, I'm obsessed. There were fonts that had serifs, and there were fonts that were sans serif. So a serif is a tail on a font, and a sans serif, sans means without. So without tails, or without those little, hooks or whatever. Again, if I have time, I'll insert a clip here. When Google first started, their font used serifs. The current iteration does not. Serif can impact accessibility, readability, and a whole bunch of other things. So some companies, some individuals, some entities, they choose not to use them. There is this sentiment of authority, of being trusted, that is connected to the simple and mere use of serifs. But I digress. All right, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not a liar. I told y'all we're not gonna be here for long. So let's move on to the next ad. Meet Tim Walz.
Sometimes life is as much about the lessons you learn as the lessons you teach. When I grew up, community was a way of life. My high school class was 24 people. I was related to half of them. I learned to be generous towards my neighbors, compromise without compromising my values, and work for the common good. My dad was in the Army, and with his encouragement, I joined the Army National Guard when I was 17. I served for 24 years. I used my GI benefits to go to college and become a public school teacher. I coached football and taught social studies for 20 years. And I tried to teach my students what small-town Nebraska taught me: respect, compromise, service to country. And so when I went into government, that's what I carried with me. I worked with Republicans to pass an infrastructure bill, cut taxes for working families, signed paid leave into law. I codified abortion rights after Roe got overturned. Because I go to work for the common good. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. Because that's what this election is about. It's about your future. It's about your family. And Vice President Harris knows that. She too grew up in a middle-class family. She too goes to work every day, making sure families can not just get by, but get ahead. We believe in the promise of America, in those values I learned in Nebraska, and we're ready to fight for them. Because as Kamala Harris says, when we fight, we win.
We noticed the warm filter, and it felt a little bit more exaggerated in this example, to be honest. It was a lot more noticeable. The transitions, I didn't care for them. I'm just gonna be honest. And mainly that's because I didn't know what they were. I couldn't tell. Were they periodic tables? Was it, like, I couldn't tell what was going on in those transitions. What I will do, if I have time, is I'll take a screenshot. I'll try to capture it. But y'all, I watched so many times, I couldn't quite grasp it. So it very well may not be a periodic table. I'll take a screenshot and it'll appear here. I don't think he was using the same font, y'all. I don't think the same font was being used. However, they did employ sans serif very boldly. That was quite obvious, at least to me. There were quite a few close-up shots. So you notice Tim's hands in the beginning of the ad. And then a little bit down the line, there was a woman who was making dumplings. Now, the transition seemed a little bit rough, but again, it's showing that they have something in common. Tim is a white male, and the person making the dumplings is an Asian woman. What do they have in common? Both of them are makers. And again, that's a very intentional choice. Tim is a natural narrator. I love his voice. I could actually listen to him all day. There is a funness. I actually could listen to him narrate something without seeing him, and I can still see him, if that makes sense. I also loved that zoom shot that was towards the end, where it was kind of directional, right? And I get that, although it felt a little bit outside of the ad. I did enjoy it though. I thought it was a really good camera move. I really liked it. I don't know if it fit, but I liked it. And then since we were talking music, we know that Tim Walz is a Springsteen fan. They had the rock music playing. It was very clear it's on brand for him. And all of this ties into these themes of being neighborly, being approachable. We're here for each other. It felt very much in the vein of Americana. I will say that it did feel a little bit disparate from the other ads that I have seen that have been focused on VP Harris. And it felt like, in some senses, they were looking for how to establish the narrative around him. I'm not talking about the Americana component or, any of that. I'm talking about the style choices that are made when it comes to telling his story. So the style choices that are made when it comes to telling VP Harris's story, we are seeing this theme. We see the overlays. We see the voice choices that are picked. They have established how they want her brand to present. At the very least, they have established the baseline, and now they can grow from that. With this ad, you can kind of get a sense that they were trying to establish that it may not have been completely in place at the time of them creating this ad. And why would it be? It's only been, what, 2 days? But my guess is that as the days go by, as the seconds go by, it will become more refined. All right, last one. This ad is titled Border.
On the border, the choice is simple. Kamala Harris supports increasing the number of Border Patrol agents. Donald Trump blocked a bill to increase the number of Border Patrol agents. Kamala Harris supports investing in new technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Donald Trump blocked funding for technology to block fentanyl from entering the country. Kamala Harris supports spending more money to stop human traffickers. Donald Trump blocked money to stop human traffickers. Kamala Harris prosecuted transnational gang members and got them sentenced to prison. Trump is trying to avoid being sentenced to prison. There's two choices in this election: the one who will fix our broken immigration system and the one who's trying to stop her.
There is a lot of talk around VP Harris, her positioning about what's happening at the border, what she has done, what she will do, etc. And so this ad is a response to that. We notice the split screen use here. On one side you have Harris, on the other side you have her opponent. We do not use filters in this particular ad until the very, very end. The theme that's being pulled through here is one of clarity, clear view, clear vision. I told y'all I'll be paying attention. What is being asked of the audience is, what is your view? And how do you know this, Ajay? How are you sure? Well, a very, very strong indicator of this was the transitions in between. In this particular ad, you saw and heard the clicking. And that clicking is similar to, and this is for our glasses wearing folks only, something called a phoropter. So a phoropter is when you go to the eye doctor and they're like, does this look clearer or this? Is this clearer or this? How about this or this? Now, you may not know if you don't wear glasses, but if you wear glasses, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't know, I'll insert something here. What's your view? That is the question that's being put forward to the audience. And again, we have a white male voice, kind of wry, smart, that is being employed. This ad, super strong. There were so many nuances that were placed in it, and you don't even have to be paying that much attention or as much attention as I was to be able to catch it. It was really, really well done. Okay, so what do we notice? What's the common theme that we're seeing from these three? One of the common things that we notice between the other two ads is establishing these individuals as human and showing their background, right? So we saw with Kamala Harris all of the baby pictures, the childhood images, and that was coupled with how she got to where she is today. With Tim Walz, the same thing. We saw all of the images of him through childhood to today. And that is for us to have more of an understanding of why these individuals do what they do and make them more approachable, make them more like us. They're not like us. Anyway, there's no connection. Me saying they're not like us, be clear. It's just the way my brain, thinks. I'll start singing. And anyway, back to the topic at hand. Y'all, remember I mentioned that initially freedom was the message that was being amplified. And then joy was the second message that was being amplified. We're moving into the promise of America being amplified. Those three themes are crucial And they're the ones that they want the receivers of this ad to really get in their bones as we move forward in the next few weeks of this campaign. Well, y'all, that's it. I promised I would not be here for a long time, and I don't know, did I keep my word? I don't know. Maybe not. Anyway, let me get myself together so I can get prepared for the DNC later on. I appreciate you for joining me today and always. I'm going to have way more when it comes to personal branding and marketing as it relates to this campaign and as it relates to you. We are going to be talking about how you can refine your personal branding and your marketing. First, let's see what's going on with this democracy, y'all. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to like and subscribe and share with some of your girlies and some of your guys. And until next time, you're capable of big things.